On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area, welcome to our 2021 General Election Candidate Forum, featuring candidates for City of Spokane Valley City Council Position 4. I am Sylvia Oliver, your moderator, and Mike Bell of the League is the timer. Election day for the 2021 general election is Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. Ballots will be mailed to all registered voters about 3 weeks before Election Day and must be postmarked or deposited in conveniently located ballot boxes no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day. You can register to vote by mail or online by October 25th, 2021, or in person on Election Day at the Spokane County Elections Office, 1033 West Gardner Avenue, or at Center Place, 2426 North Discovery Place, Spokane Valley. For other questions about casting a ballot or information about the candidates, contact the Spokane County Elections Office at 509-477-2320 or visit their website, spokanecounty.org/elections, or on the League of Women Voters online voter guide, vote411.org. I will be asking the candidates questions that have been formulated by the League's Voter Services Committee, and will ask as many questions as time allows. Before the questions begin, the candidates will have up to 30 seconds to introduce themselves and tell the voters why they are running. They will have up to 1 minute to answer each question, with additional time for rebuttal or follow-up question as appropriate. And each candidate will have the opportunity for a 30-second closing statement. The first speaker will alternate with each question, and I will repeat the question for the second candidate. Now I will introduce the candidates as they will appear on the ballot in order of surname. They are Mr. Brandon Fenton and Mr. Ben Wick. Starting with you, Mr. Fenton, you'll have 30 seconds to tell us why you're running for City of Spokane Valley City Council.
Thank you for having me. Name's Brandon Fenton, running for City Council in Spokane Valley. I believe that Spokane Valley is a great, wonderful city. I believe that the City Council and my opponent have started to take things in a direction that isn't really in line with the values of Spokane Valley. And I just want to correct that so that we can get on a path to where we used to be and make Spokane Valley great again.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Wick, why are you running for City of Spokane Valley City Council?
Yes, the City of Spokane Valley is in a great position. We have a balanced budget with extra surpluses. We've made strategic investments in our community, from additional parkland to securing the future of our police precinct and our police department or contract as well. And so we have a lot of great things going and a lot of opportunities. I want to see some of those projects come to fruition.
Thank you. Our first question will be for Mr. Wick, and you will have up to 1 minute to answer. Homelessness is a problem for the entire region. Please describe homelessness in Spokane Valley and how the city should address this issue. Do you support a regional approach, including City of Spokane and Spokane County, to address the problems of homelessness and homeless encampments?
Sure. So homelessness is a regional issue. The homeless don't really know city borders or boundaries by any means. So I have been meeting with Mayor Woodward and county commissioners every other week, trying to formulate our response to homelessness and how we can do more. For the City of Spokane Valley, it looks a little differently. We don't have a lot of the services within our jurisdiction, but we also don't have the connection and outreach. So in the last year, we've repurposed an existing position as a city to focus on that outreach. So we hired a homeless and housing coordinator to try and reach out to people, connect them with services. We repurposed our school resource officers during the summer to being on the trails and connecting more with the homeless as well. We're looking in 2022 of adding a dedicated officer to just interface with homeless and try and connect people and help them move through that process. And we have a great deal of progress to still make, but we're making some progress, which is good.
Thank you. Mr. Fenton, I'll repeat the question. Homelessness is a problem for the entire region. Please describe homelessness in Spokane Valley and how the city should address this issue. Do you support a regional approach, including City of Spokane and Spokane County, to address the problem of homelessness and homeless encampments?
Homelessness is becoming more of an issue in Spokane Valley. We see more homeless on a daily basis around town. You can see them just driving around. I do think it is a regional issue. I think that we do need to partner with the people in the area, like Mayor Woodward and others in the county to combat that issue. I do believe that Spokane Valley needs to take a different approach. My opponent, Ben, is talking about having that homeless coordinator and hiring those positions, which I think is a poor decision, especially since they're trying to fund it through a fund that gives grants to nonprofits and other organizations. And now we're taking that money, which is upwards of over $300,000 for that officer and coordinator. And that's money out of the pockets of the nonprofits, which they can use most times, 2 or 3-fold, which now means that there are, upwards of $1 million that's not going to the nonprofits now. And we just shouldn't be doing that.
Thank you. The next question will start with Mr. Fenton. Spokane Valley's population has grown roughly 18% since it was incorporated in 2003, and housing availability has not kept up with the increase, resulting in higher home prices and rising rents. To address this, on June 1st, 2021, the Spokane Valley City Council adopted a housing action plan looking at the amount and types of housing that will be needed in the future and how to meet these needs. What are your thoughts on promoting a variety of types of housing as well as incentives named in the plan to encourage such construction?
We do need to take a foot forward approach to the housing. It's a problem that hasn't just appeared just now. It's a problem that's built up over years, which is exactly why I'm running and would like to get in there so I can put my input and stuff. We have Ben, who has been in there for a couple of terms now and has been involved with the Spokane Valley government for upwards of 20 years now. And so he's made decisions that have led to this. We need to have a better approach. We need to have some new mindsets in there that are willing to and wanting to reduce the fees. I believe that the Time magazine put out a study saying that 28% of the cost of development is tied to administrative fees. We should take a look at that. We should reduce that and make it more feasible and profitable for the construction to happen so that we can have that housing. This shouldn't be something that we're dealing with after the fact. We should have approached this and been looking forward to it this entire time.
Thank you. Mr. Wick, I'll repeat the question. The Spokane Valley's population has grown roughly 18% since it was incorporated in 2003, and housing availability has not kept up with the increase, resulting in higher home prices and rising rents. To address this, on June 1st, 2021, the Spokane Valley City Council adopted a housing action plan looking at the amount and types of housing that will be needed in the future and how to meet these needs. What are your thoughts on promoting a variety of types of housing as well as incentives named in the plan to encourage such construction?
I think we definitely need to do that. The housing action plan was the first step to kind of identify some of the areas that we need to put more focus in. We have done a lot on the permitting side for trying to make it easier for people and development. We've done a planned action ordinance. We've done all the traffic studies for corridors and sub areas. So that way individual projects don't have to do their own traffic analysis, which not only saves them time for their project, but also money for those. All they have to do is to buy into that traffic plan, and that gets them all that savings, which is great, but we need more. We've been involved at the state level trying to reform and remove some of the restrictions that the state has done on condominiums, for example, which has pretty much limited or eliminated all condo development within our city. Multifamily is a huge one, but we can't just build our way out with existing land. We also need to look at our borders and figure out how to bring more land in to be available for development. We met a threshold with 102,000 in population now with the census, and so we're looking to continue those efforts.
Thank you. The next question will start with Mr. Wick first. The Spokane County Board of Commissioners officially reestablished the Spokane Regional Law and Justice Council, SRLJC, on June 29th, reducing the size of the advisory council from 25 to 18 and establishing a racial equity committee, as well as reducing City of Spokane involvement. Given the changes in the SRLJC, how will you as a city council member address the impact of the justice system on people of color? What initiatives do you propose to create a fair, just, and equitable criminal justice system?
Sure. So the SRLJC is one of many of the boards that we're on. That one did get reinstituted. For Spokane Valley's perspective, we're actually going to be gaining some representation on there. So there's 2 new boards, one that all the mayors serve on in an advisory capacity for the commissioners. And so we'll be gaining a spot on that, which we never had an elected on the SRLJC for Spokane Valley before. Also on the staff side or the administrative side, we have worked with the city of Spokane. And so we're going to actually be taking the first turn at that. So we'll have 2 years of leadership on the SRLJC for our community and representing all cities within the county. But the old SRLJC wasn't getting some of the initiatives that we wanted to get done. So we're hopeful that the new process and the new layout will allow those conversations to continue, and we can be stronger advocates for our community.
Great, thank you. Mr. Fenton, the Spokane County Board of Commissioners officially reestablished the Spokane Regional Law and Justice Council on June 29th, reducing the size of the advisory council from 25 to 18 and establishing a racial equity committee, as well as reducing City of Spokane involvement. Given the changes in the SRLJC, how will you as a city council member address the impact of the justice system on people of color? And what initiatives do you propose to create a fair, just, and equitable criminal justice system?
Well, I think that it's great that they're reinstituting that. I think that we need somebody in the city council and on that board to be able to push forward their views and the views of the citizens of Spokane Valley. I believe that that's not happening in the city council right now. I think that we are basically kind of cowering a little bit to what the greater Spokane downtown and over on the west side of the state wants. We need some people in there that are going to speak up, that are going to hold people accountable and make sure that the training and everything is equitable for everybody, whether it be in Spokane Valley or Spokane County. I think it needs to be fair and equitable across the board, and people need to be held accountable. So we need somebody in there that is going to raise a voice and speak up and not just continue the same old politics that is happening and has been happening for years now.
Thank you. Mr. Fenton, what is your vision for future parks and recreation areas in Spokane Valley?
I love our parks. I use them quite frequently with my kids. We're on the parks and on the trails all the time, riding bikes or just out for walks. I think that we need to focus on improving our parks instead of purchasing and expanding at this time. We shouldn't be purchasing land in Ponderosa for a plan for a park when we are short on housing, and that could have been developed into housing or something else. We shouldn't be purchasing parkland or land that's going to be used for parks that's going to cost us millions and millions of dollars in the future to develop and build, when we have parks that could use that money to make them better and more attractive to people, especially when that 40 acres is surrounded by industrial land. It's not even surrounded by housing or anything like that, neighborhoods. It's not easily accessible to families. So I just think we need to work on what we have instead of spending the money and growing at this point. At least at this time, we should be.
Thank you. Mr. Wick, what is your vision for future parks and recreation areas in Spokane Valley?
Yeah, we've actually had a lot of opportunity. So we did a pretty extensive public outreach process to figure out what our community wants for parks and development with our parks and master plan. And the number one outcry from that, or the number one priority, was for land acquisition. We don't have enough parks per capita for other cities our size or in comparison. And so we prioritized that. We had a couple of key opportunities come up recently. The mentioned some 46 acres on the north bank of the river off of Flora Road was key. When we look at that and look strategically at what that could be and what that could do, not only for recreation, as it's one of the few parcels that could access the river at grade. And we look at communities like Boise and Eugene that have a whitewater park in the river and something like that. And what that could do for not only for recreation within our community, but also tourism and increased tax revenues and put back into the economy. And so it's exciting to see some of the developments on those and how we can move that forward for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Fenton, with Spokane Valley's continuing growth, what zoning or other changes would you support to decrease urban sprawl and create more walkable neighborhoods?
Well, I think that we, let's see, I think that's a great idea. I'm not one for curbing the urban sprawl. I think that people should be able to do what they want with their property. And I I think that we should take a look and make it more feasible for developers to be able to make those communities if they so choose, but also not require or not hinder them in their ability to do what they want to do with their land. I'm going to jump back just for a second on what Ben Wick said on the last question with the outreach to the people of Spokane Valley. I've seen some of this stuff and listened in on the city council meetings, and I think it's seriously lacking on the outreach that's going on. You have people that don't get notice with businesses on Argonne. You have your people working in city council, or not city council, in the city government that can't even tell you how many flyers were mailed out to the population, and you didn't even know how many responses you got back. And I think the outreach is lacking right now.
Thank you. And Mr. Wick, I'll give you a 30-second rebuttal time on that one.
So that was a couple of different things. So one was we did have a mistake in how we did our Montgomery road construction project. With the development, we've had record development, which has caused a lot of increased workload for different staff members and employees, and we didn't do the outreach that we normally are used to doing for our businesses. We apologize for that. We've made corrections to try and prevent that from happening in the future, and we tried to escalate that construction project as soon as we could. The notice is for rezoning, which is a little different than parks, but for parks, we did do a pretty extensive community stakeholder group.
Thank you for that. So I'm coming back to you, Mr. Wick, for that last question. And that was, with Spokane Valley's continuing growth, what zoning or other changes would you support to decrease urban sprawl and create more walkable neighborhoods?
Sure. So we started this where we focused a lot of the more dense development around where there's services. So the cottage style housing, the more dense multifamily developments, we tried to focus those along kind of that central corridor where there's bus service. We tried to focus on sidewalk infill. When the county before we became a city, the county did a lot of the development in Spokane Valley, and they didn't have requirements for sidewalks everywhere. And so there's a lot of neighborhoods where you'll go through a block and have a sidewalk, and then no sidewalk, and then sidewalk will be on the other side of the street. And so we're trying to catch all those back up and try and look at it as a bigger system. We've developed a whole chapter in our comprehensive plan for bike and pedestrian master plan, where we look at corridors and how we can move and make things more walkable in certain areas. And so we're trying to carry those through as we make the improvements to the roads and the network to better support that as well. But it's really trying to get that more dense development in where there's services. That's going to help us the most.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to the next question, and that will be for Mr. Wick first. How should Spokane Valley utilize available state funding for road and other development projects?
Sure, that's a good question, and unfortunately, there's not enough resources to take care of everything. We look at our roads, and our roads are definitely a priority, but we can't keep up with the maintenance. And we know from our studies and all of our scanning, so we actually scan all of our streets once every 2 to 3 years to get a better idea of where they're at, how they're breaking down. And we know that every dollar we invest in maintenance and preservation, we save up to $8 from having to rebuild the road. So we focused a lot of our money onto preservation and maintenance, so that way we can maintain the system that we have. But we're not keeping up with that totally. We have a declining telephone utility tax. We've been able to supplement that with general fund reserve, or more dollars that come in as the economy has been stronger. So we've been growing the economy to do that. But there's a lot of projects out there, and we're trying to still wrestle with that. We established a community committee to try and get some feedback from all the different sectors, which is about 23 to 30 members, to get some more input in that and work with our state.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Fenton, how should Spokane Valley utilize available state funding for roads and other development projects?
I think that we need to spend wisely. Just because the money's there does not mean that we should spend it. I know that there are a couple of people in the city that constantly look for grants, and if they find a grant that comes from the state or the federal government for roads, then they apply for it, even if the work doesn't necessarily need to be done yet. It may save us money as far as the whole project, but it's still taxpayer dollars. We shouldn't be doing that. I know that I live right over off Evergreen, and Evergreen was tore up, and from what I could tell, there wasn't any real necessity to do that. The road was perfectly fine. There wasn't anything listed with the city that stated that they were doing anything beyond repaving. And I drive that every single day, and it just was not necessary. So we need to be a little more frugal. We need to repair, we need to look forward and everything, but we just should do it wisely. And that's not what's happening right now in the government.
The City of Spokane is developing a sustainability action plan with environmental policy goals to ensure a healthier, more resilient community. Their council will consider the final plan this fall. How could Spokane Valley achieve similar goals?
I think that we should look at that plan and pick it apart so that we can know what's going on and develop something for ourselves. But at the same time, with anything in the government, we should put plans, or we should look at things, but we shouldn't use it as a way to hinder the growth or businesses or anything like that. The government should not be involved in that. We should try to help, but we shouldn't be there forcing anything on anybody or dictating anything on anybody. So I think it would be a good idea to take a look at their plan and see where it goes, but to keep that in mind, that we don't want to be hindering people with their property, with their rights, with anything like that. That is not why we are here. We are here to maintain the city and to make it safe, but not to hinder. And we should be fighting for everybody's rights instead of hindering everybody, which is a big issue right now.
Thank you. Mr. Wick, the City of Spokane is developing a sustainability action plan with environmental policy goals to ensure a healthier, more resilient community. Their council will consider the final plan this fall. How could Spokane Valley achieve similar goals?
No, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with their plan, but through the Regional Transportation Council, we came together as a region to apply for some electric vehicle charging stations. We actually were able to do it a lot better together. Vista provided the match for that, and we're going to get 35 to 40 different electric charging stations around the county. And Spokane Valley is participating in that to try and help establish that network for electric cars and kind of get the infrastructure in place for that. Again, interested to see more and hear more about what the City of Spokane's doing. Unfortunately, our where we got all the electeds together a lot in the beginning of the pandemic, we haven't had a lot of that opportunity lately. So looking forward to connecting back with the City of Spokane and also kind of keeping in mind of Spokane Valley and how that could fit for our community.
Great, thank you very much. And now for your closing statements. You will each have up to 30 seconds, and we'll start with Mr. Wick.
All right, I just want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this forum together today. I know it's getting close to the election, so really appreciate all your involvement in that. Again, I'm Ben Wick. I'm asking for your vote for the City of Spokane Valley City Council position number 4. Born, raised Spokane Valley, been here all my whole life, small business owner, raising 4 kids. And if you'd like to know more, you can go to reelectbenwick.org. And I'd ask for your vote come November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Fenton, your 30-second closing statement.
Brandon Fenton, running for City Council position number 4. I would like your vote. I think that we need a change in the Spokane Valley City Council, and I want to be that change. I want to stand up. I want to fight for your rights and make Spokane Valley great again. I'm born, raised. I have 2 kids going to Central Valley School District. I fight every day for them with everything that's going on in the schools with masks. I've stood up and want to stand up for you and really want to bring the values back to the Spokane Valley City Council. So please vote November 2nd.
Thank you. This concludes our 2021 general election candidate forum featuring candidates for City of Spokane Valley City Council position number 4. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, thank you to our candidates for participating in the forum. We hope that this has given you, the voters, information that will help you make an informed decision when returning your ballots by 8 p.m. Election Day, Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. The League of Women Voters of the Spokane area has also scheduled other regional city council, school board, and judicial forums, and links to all of these are on our website, lwvspokane.org. And you can also go for more information to our online voters guide at vote411.org. Again, thank you very much.